Just quickly then, just give me your sense. I mean, these debates are also fun because the candidates are working off each other. Just give me a sense of the tone. Did one look like they're ready to be an MPP? Do they all sort of come across confidently? What was your sense?
Well, I can say it was a little bit disappointing in the sense that I would say all three candidates were certainly reading. They had notes, seemed to have notes in front of them. You saw a lot of reading going on and a lot of, if you will, a lot of talking points. And for us, that's a little bit upset. It's sad because we like to see people really debate the issues and get at it. I think it's one thing is you really just as from a political perspective, for anybody who ever wants to be a candidate out there, I think it's important that you really know the files that you're talking about and really be able to answer questions. And at one point, just to say on the PC side, I would say at one point there was an issue over the minimum wage where I found quite interestingly the Liberals have been using the minimum wage as a political issue, kind of as a wedge issue to get both the other parties on that. And I found both the PCs and the NDP didn't have the right answer back. They were a little bit caught during the debate, those candidates. So it's interesting to see the Liberals use the minimum wage, for example, as a wedge issue in order to attack during the debate. So which I find quite interesting.
All right, well, Marco, great job, and appreciate the chat. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, now, one candidate in that election was forced to sit on the sidelines during last night's debate in Thornhill. That was Erin Goodwin. She's the candidate for the Freedom Party. The organizers wouldn't let her go up on the stage, so she had to attend the event as an audience member only, and Marco was up there and asked her about it. She wasn't happy.
Immediately I contacted them through Paul McKeever in hopes that they would include me in the debate, and they came up with excuses that the layout and logistics plus time restraints were all reasons why I couldn't be included, which I found ludicrous because I was one of the first candidates to get my nomination papers in. I've been registered and have had my signs up throughout the riding, and I just think it would be fair if they would let me have my voice heard.
Also not too happy about the fact that there was no Freedom Party candidate at that debate was the leader of the Freedom Party of Ontario, Paul McKeever. And Paul joins us now. And Paul, I mean, it's got to be tough for any number of reasons when you're a new party and you're starting to try to get things going. But this must be so frustrating that you must have at least known saying, we're going to get a chance to air our views at debates, and here you got shut down. Did you talk to the organizer? I think it was the CAA who was putting this one together.
Oh, yes, we spoke. Well, I wrote to him, and then he phoned back and spoke to the candidate directly. And we got the usual array of non-excuses, the most hilarious of which was, due to logistical concerns, the size of the room. It was a ballroom, and the size of, places for people to sit. Well, the stage was twice as wide as the 4 chairs that they placed up there for the other candidates. So what this was really all about is making sure that, well, the voter in Thornhill won't know that there's such a thing as a Freedom Party of Ontario or an Erin Goodwin. It's not so much about even issues at these debates. This is an opportunity to see photos in the paper, to see names in the paper, so that the voter knows, okay, who's available to vote for. And by strategically keeping our candidate out of there, they make sure that, well, we don't have a photo in the newspaper.
And Paul, one of the things I've always enjoyed covering debates with parties from, or for candidates from new parties, emerging parties, is those candidates tend to ask some pretty tough, frank questions that upsets the political establishment. And you certainly have the, quote, political establishment here in Thornhill. What in your view, would have been some of the things Erin would probably have liked to press the other guys on?
Well, for one, Gila Martow is getting a free ride. She has a history of being an ardent supporter and proponent of John Tory's 2007, and she's continued since then, bid for taxpayer-funded religious schools. She's on video, if you find it, it's easy to find, saying that we should never discuss this during elections because we always get, and she uses the S word, if we bring it up during an election, so we have to sneak it in after we get elected. This is the kind of thing that Erin would have brought up last night, but Ms. Martow was able to skate right by that without anyone catching her on it.
What about, there will be some who say, listen, why can't you guys do more to, say, elect Tim Hudak and a fiscally conservative party? I'm sure you get that sort of question from time to time. What do you say to people who ask that?
Well, it's not so much about Mr. Hudak. It's the history of the Progressive Conservative Party. I think what's happened is that with Mike Harris having come in '95 and followed sort of that federal reform party agenda of balanced budgets, people forgot that the Progressive Conservative Party is actually the one that gave us the ban on private health insurance. They gave us OHIP. They gave us the provincial sales tax. They gave us the provincial income tax. They gave us the Human Rights Commission, and all the various things they pretend they oppose are actually well supported by the majority of that party. So we're not at all the same. When we say we want to repeal a tax, we mean it. We don't just say it because it looks macho. And that's why you'll see, for example, over and over again, whenever Mr. Hudak tries to position himself slightly to the right on anything, he gets all kinds of flack from within his party, as he has now, as we've seen over the last week with right to work, and that policy which he figures is somehow right-wing. Well, his party rebels because it's actually a pink Tory party or a red Tory party.
Let me ask you about the election, the general election we're likely to see this spring. Give me your sense in terms of what voters across the province might see from the Freedom Party. Is it too much to expect that there's going to be a Freedom Party candidate in as many ridings as possible?
We were doing very well last time around. I expect we're going to approach full slate, if not get a full slate this time. We were one of the only, there were only 5 parties last time, the Greens, PCs, Liberals, NDP, and us, that ran enough candidates to actually form a majority government. And we intend this time to make sure we're well into that territory, probably at the 107 level. What you can expect to see from us is things like we published this week, Ontario's only balanced budget proposal, which people can find on the website, freedomparty.on.ca. And we are going to remain the one party who's saying, while everyone else is looking for different revenue tools at these debates, which ones should we impose, we're the one going to be saying, we're not imposing new revenue tools. We're going to find ways to make a better budget, and that means cutting some costs, and in particular, making some adjustments to health care.
Paul McKeever, good luck in the by-election. Good luck in the general election. Thanks so much for coming on the program.
Thank you, David.